telecommunications carrier. If granted, the petition will make Windstream eligible to receive federal universal service funding under the Federal Rural Digital Opportunity Fund program. Windstream seeks designation as an ETC for a service area that encompasses the entire state of Alabama. Notice of Windstream's petition was served on all parties of interest. No party submitted comments by the established deadline. The recommendation is for a grant of the petition.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Holden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beagle.
Yes.
I will now move to the off-agenda items that were circulated on July 30th, 2021. I have two items on that document. The first is under docket 32382, which concerns Alabama Power's renewable generation certificate. By way of letter dated July 16, 2021, Alabama Power is requesting to extend for an additional 6 years the renewable generation certificate granted by order of the Commission dated September 16, 2015 in this cause. The sole purpose of this request is to seek additional time within which the company may exercise rights under the RGC without any other change to its operative terms, conditions, and requirements. As such, the company submits that no hearing should be required in connection with its request. To date, Alabama Power has worked with customers to deploy 4 solar projects under the RGC, comprising a total of approximately 170 megawatts. That leaves unused authority of approximately 330 megawatts of the originally approved 500 megawatts. Absent an extension of the RGC, the unexercised capacity amount of 330 megawatts will expire on September 16th, 2021. If any of the originally authorized 500 megawatts has not been exercised by the new proposed deadline of September 16, 2027, the certificate authorization for that unexercised capacity will expire. The recommendation is for approval of Alabama Power's request as submitted.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Holden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beagle.
Yes.
I'll now move to docket 28101, which concerns the Spire Gulf RSE renewal. On July 1, 2021, Spire Gulf and the Office of the Attorney General submitted for the Commission's consideration a proposed settlement agreement encompassing the following terms and conditions. With regard to ROE range, the parties recommended an adjusting point of 9.95% with a range of 9.7 to 10.3%. The parties agreed to an equity cap of 55.5%. They agreed to an RSC term of 4 years. With regard to the CCM mechanism for Spire Gulf, the parties proposed that the CCM will use fiscal year 2021 actual O&M expenses as its base year, provided the fiscal year 2021 actual O&M expenses land below the fiscal year 2020 actual O&M expenses. Otherwise, the base year will be the fiscal year 2020 actual O&M expenses as proposed by the parties. They also proposed reversion to the original sharing percentages from past RSC terms, which are 50-50 for any benefit and 75-25 for any penalty against CPI, August CPIU will be used rather than June under the proposed terms of the agreement. With regard to AGA dues, the parties recommend that 50% of the AGA dues will remain unrecoverable under the RSC mechanism. And with regard to points of test, the parties submitted an agreement that proposed 3 points of test in March, June, and September annually. After reviewing the proposed settlement terms, the Commission staff recommends acceptance of the proposed settlement terms with the following adjustments. With regard to CCM, the staff finds that the terms proposed by Spire Gulf and AG are acceptable, subject to the following modifications. The fiscal year 2021 actual O&M expenses will be used as the base year under the staff recommendation. In those years, when a penalty is assessed under the CCM, the base year for the succeeding rate year CCM calculations will remain unaffected. That is, the base year will be the CPIU adjusted base year O&M expenses. In those rate years, when an incentive is received by the company, however, the base year O&M expense is reset to the actual O&M expense for that rate year and becomes the base year O&M expense used in CCM calculations beginning with the succeeding rate year. Also, in those rate years when an incentive is received by the company, the amount of the incentive is transferred to a reserve account for economic development. The economic development reserve shall be excluded from calculations of common equity. Further, any expenditures from the economic development reserve must first have commission approval, and the amounts thereof shall continue to be excluded from common equity. With regard to points of test, the staff recommends 2 points of test on April 30 and September 30, as opposed to the 3 points of test recommended in the agreement submitted. As I said before, all other terms of the proposed agreement are recommended for staff, or by staff for approval. So the ultimate recommendation is for an adoption of the settlement agreement submitted by Spire Gulf and the AG on July 1, 2021, as modified by the above discussed staff adjustments, which are recommended for approval in their entirety.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Oden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beaker.
Yes.
Lastly, Madam President, I have the list of administrative items, which consist entirely of all pending motor carrier matters. I recommend approval of those items.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Commissioner Oden.
Yes.
Commissioner Beaker.
Yes.
Concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other new business to bring before the commission? With there being no more new business, in closing, let me remind you that our next regularly scheduled commission meeting will be Tuesday, September 14th. It's a little bit later in the month because of the way Labor Day falls, but it'll be September 14th, 2021. At this point, don't forget to turn your phones back on so as not to miss